And if you haven't filed your tax returns just yet, time is running out. You've only got a couple of days now until the April 15th tax filing deadline. You do want to make sure you file those taxes on time first, yes, and of course second, accurately. So to help you out with that is April Reed Cruz of Reed Financial Group. April, good to speak with you again. How are you?
Good morning, John. Great. How are you on this Monday morning?
Doing well, doing well. So, April, we're talking about motivation. It can be hard, right? We've got procrastinators, I'm sure, watching out there. So, the first question on their mind may be, look, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start first. What should their first step be?
Depends on how complex your tax picture is. If you haven't filed by now, like you said, you might be a procrastinator, or maybe you're even a little bit worried about what you're going to find when you do go to file. Go ahead and start that return. And if you can't finish it, it's okay to file an extension. You need to pay an estimate of what you think that you're going to owe. But if you need a little bit more time, it's okay to go ahead and file that extension and make sure that you get it right.
Absolutely. But, we're talking about those folks waiting until the last minute. They do run into some risks. What are the potential harms that could come from waiting until the last second to file, April?
Anytime that we're rushing something that can be somewhat complex, we force errors. That can really be an easy thing to do. When you go to file, simple things to check, like making sure that your name is spelled correctly, that your social security number is correct. Use last year's tax return to do a cross check and make sure that nothing is missing. And know that it might not be as bad as you think, because there were some tax law changes in 2025. We're finding that a lot of people who were dreading filing thought that they were going to owe are actually getting a refund, and we're really looking at ways to turn that into some opportunities. Sometimes it can even be an opportunity for 2025, and maybe it has to be an opportunity for 2026. If we're very fortunate, then we can make it an opportunity for both.
You mentioned those changes that were written into law last year. What are some of those newer things that tax filers should know for this season?
People who don't have overtime or they don't have tips are going to be a little bit less impacted. Another group that we see that there's been a pretty tremendous impact on is those who are 65 and older. Although Social Security is still taxed, there's now a senior deduction that wasn't available before. It's a deduction, so that means that you might not be able to use it if you don't have anything to offset it. It's not just a credit. So if you're not getting that credit, that might mean that you're missing some opportunities. Check your tax return if you're 65 and older. Our clients are seeing on average between $6,000 to $12,000 in deductions that they didn't have before. And some people have even used that as a way to do some Roth conversions and not even have to pay out of pocket on those taxes. So some really good things to cross-check there and make sure that if you didn't have those deductions this year, perhaps there can be some adjustments that you make in order to get them this year.
What a difference maker. $6,000 to $12,000 in hidden deductions now revealed, come to light. April, that's fantastic. You mentioned there, though, the expertise, and I'm sure a lot of folks are out there thinking, oh, I can use, my online tax filing system and be just fine. And they're probably right. But I wanted to ask you, is there a preferable way, either in person or online, to file those returns?
I prefer e-filing. Can really help eliminate errors. And like you said, Joe, there's really nothing wrong with using some of those systems as long as those systems are only as good as the information that we put into them. So really make sure that you're slowing down, that you're going through all the questions. There are a copious amount of them. They're there for a reason. And from what I'm seeing, these software programs have done a very good job making sure that they're updated. It might be a good idea, though, to talk to a tax preparer. That's not going to happen at this point, probably before April 15th, but to make sure that you're not missing anything, if nothing else. Maybe you do continue to file independently, but talking to an expert to make sure that you're not missing any opportunities that are now there for you could really help you reduce your taxes for 2026.
I am curious, April, how's business been for you all this tax season?
Quite busy as usual, but it's been very good. Most people have been quite happy. People who are not accustomed to getting returns are finding that they do have a return this year. And then we're really going to continue to stay busy, because from there, we don't want to just be happy that we got a return, because technically that means we've given the IRS our money to use during the year. So now we're really pivoting to what adjustments can we make to withholding, for example, or Roth conversions, and really turn this into a window of opportunity to put more money in people's pockets. So they're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? To maximize that tax return. April, what recourse do folks have if they feel like they're told to owe more than they may believe?
I would sit down and talk to an expert. If you think you owe more than you should, then I would file an extension. You can do that electronically as well, and make an appointment with an expert to sit down and talk to them, because it very well could be, as we just discussed, the information, the software is only going to be as good as the information that's put into it. So maybe there's something that's missing there, and it might be worth spending a few $100s or so and a couple hours of your time to make sure that it's right and that you're not overpaying.
Absolutely. This is a lot of information, April. A lot of folks will probably want to check out this segment once it's over. But, for those who don't feel confident that they'll make the April 15th deadline, what other options or alternatives do they have?
All comes back to that extension. I think sometimes there's a negative connotation to that, and it's difficult because you are technically supposed to pay what you think you owe. Well, if your taxes aren't done, that can be a difficult thing to do. You can use last year as at least a basis and really just go ahead and file that extension and get to work on it. Don't procrastinate it until the fall just because you technically have an October 15th deadline. Go ahead and find a professional to sit down with and make sure that it's done correctly.
All right, and I'll get you out on this one, April. Okay, so maybe we didn't do our best this year at strategizing and planning, but for next year, what are some things we could be doing now and throughout this coming year to be better prepared?
Look at your withholding. If you get a refund this year, then again, that means you've overpaid. So look at the withholding, talk to your HR department if you're still working, talk to your financial professional if you have retirement income that's coming in, and put more of that money in your pocket on a monthly basis. We talked about the deductions that are now available. If you're missing those, talk to a professional about how you might be able to have some tax advantage strategies moving forward, and really even maybe pay that out of your 2025 return without having anything that you need to pay out of pocket. And look also at the taxable sources of income. A lot of times this is a good time to assess what your taxable interest is on the investments that you have. And if you have any, what we like to call lazy money, where maybe it's not working for you, but it's hitting your income tax return, it can be a good time to make those adjustments. Sure, we're a little bit over a quarter of the way through the year, but that means we've got about 3/4 of the year left to make some adjustments and make sure that we feel better, more prepared, and more confident going into filing for 2026.
Sound advice there. April Reed Cruz from Reed Financial Group. April, I got to give you a quick shout out because from property taxes to income taxes, you were on it. Thank you for all your help over the years.